The shaman develops 3 gifts to master time, to stop worrying that time is going to run out, to shed the dramas and the traumas of the past, and to dream a new world into being. I wanted to share them with you. You don't have to be a shaman, I'm certainly not, to bring these into your life and to harness them and use them as a stabilizing force to carry you through the awakening and the evolution that I know that you're going through. One of the books that really helped me on my own journey was The Illumination Process by Alberto Villoldo. And in this book, he describes these 3 gifts that the shaman developed to master time. And the first gift is the gift of audacity. Audacity is all about taking bold risks, having the courage to move forward in life, to tap into your creative potential, to innovate. It's all about taking action. What can happen as we start to evolve and we start to look inwards, we can get a little bit stuck in simply becoming familiar with and articulate about our shadows, our limiting beliefs, the things that we want to clear and the things that we want to move on from in order to do our self-improvement process, if you like. But when we get stuck in this process of looking at our shadows, looking within and understanding, but not actually moving on as a result of having understood it, then we are only in the illusion of progress. We are not actually moving forward. So if you are reading endless self-help books, you are doing the inner work, you are understanding your inner child, you have identified emotional blocks, but you're not actually able to act in a different way as a result of having done that, then it's time to call in audacity. Now, we're not necessarily conditioned as a society to be audacious. We actually learn at quite a young age that it's safer to try to fit in. We might have been criticised for being different, or even if our gifts were not necessarily recognised, we come back into our shell and we don't like to stand apart from the crowd. But actually, this is exactly what is needed. Your uniqueness is part of what propels you forward. So audacity helps us to say, I am not going to shrink back from the ways in which I am unique and different from other people. I am not going to conform to society's expectations. I stand in my own power. I choose my own path. I move forward without needing to be approved of or sanctified by a society that prefers me to stay small. When I first started to become aware of the power of meditation, I was initiated into that through the Buddhist tradition, and I became very obsessed with listening to Buddhist podcasts about meditation, loads of talks, Dharma talks as they're called. And what I got stuck in was listening to those talks instead of actually sitting down to do the meditation, because the act of meditating was much more difficult than walking around the park whilst listening to a Dharma talk. And what it did was it created the illusion that I was evolving and developing, but I wasn't in the way that I was actually capable of. And it wasn't until I started to prioritize sitting down to meditate and confront the monkey mind and the discomfort I felt with just sitting still in my body that I truly started to evolve into a higher version of myself. Audacity is also about identifying which kinds of actions are progressive, creative, and innovative, and which kind of actions are actually, again, creating the illusion of progress or movement, but actually keeping you small. So we often refer to this as like busy work. If you're spending disproportionate amounts of time doing things that feel like a productive form of procrastination, again, it's time to call in audacity and get moving beyond those types of activities. So for me, I'm a Virgo and I really like things to be neat, tidy, organised, clean. And so sometimes my productive procrastination is tidying the house, tidying the office, sorting things out, organising them, and it can feel really useful. And actually, I do see that as a positive part of my spiritual orientation because I like orderliness and I see it as a high vibrational state. However, if I am stuck doing that and I only think I can move forward when the house is tidy and clean to a certain level, I am not taking bold enough action. I'm staying at a plateau and I'm not stepping into my true potential. I'm convincing myself it's necessary to stay at that level. So audacity really invites us to look at, are we taking the right kind of bold, creative actions, or are we taking small, administrative actions that feel good but which are actually restrictive in some way? When we act with audacity, we have to face the fact that there is no real safety apart from our own inner safety. We can't actually know what's going to happen as a result of our actions. So we have to trust and step forward boldly, innovate, create, and be curious about the potential outcomes without needing to feel like we know what they are or that they will fit into society's preferred box. So how do you actually start to cultivate audacity in your life? This is really about moving forward even when you can't see the outcome. You've got to just start to trust the process. This is literally about inviting the force of creative potential into your life and trusting that you have the capability and the capacity to move forward, trusting that you can move forward differently every single time without needing to know exactly what's going to happen as a result. It's about really following your instinct. Be curious and just be excited about the possibilities of what might happen, and you'll start to cultivate audacity and be able to move forward as a bigger, more expanded, more confident, courageous, innovative version of yourself. The second gift is the gift of patience. This is not about waiting. This is really about knowing when is it the right time to act and when is it the right time to be still. We've just been talking about audacity, all about action, all about courage, innovation, movement, growth. Patience counters that by making sure that you know how to properly resource yourself and fuel yourself up with the energy needed to take those audacious, courageous steps. This is really not about forcing things. It's about allowing them to evolve and bubble up and emerge in accordance with divine timing. We live in a society of instant gratification, don't we? We expect things to literally be delivered to our door within 24 hours. But universal consciousness and the timing of universal consciousness doesn't really follow those rules. You are not necessarily going to be able to speed things up from your own ego desire, because it might not be time for you to quite get to the goals that you imagine for yourself. Like if you want to aspire to be at a certain point, but your health isn't ready for that kind of energy to come in, then it's actually in your benefit that it's not happening yet. So patience is really about trusting in divine timing and trusting that things will unfold as they are meant to for your highest good, and certainly not before. It's also about recognizing that sometimes things just resolve themselves of their own accord through the passage of time. I know this can be really, really difficult to accept when you want something to change, but it is just the way things are. When I was at my sort of lowest point a couple of years ago, one of the big factors was a long-term eye condition that I was really, really struggling to clear. And I was told by the doctors that actually it was incurable and that it was something I'd just have to live with for the rest of my life, which was very, very difficult information to receive. But I didn't really accept it. I wanted it to go away, and it wasn't until I accepted the idea that it would actually pass of its own accord when it was ready, when I had learned the lessons I was supposed to learn from it, that it would naturally heal itself when I came back into balance. And that is exactly what happened. As I started to awaken, as I started to tune into spirit, to connect to nature, to go within, to clear some of my blocks, the I condition went, but there was just no way that I could rush it. And it really did shift slowly but surely as soon as I accepted that I wasn't in control of the timing. So how can you start to really bring more patience into your life? Two things. Firstly, you can look at the things that are on your plate and the ones that are in your control and the ones that are not really in your control. And the ones that aren't in your control, you can just release either to somebody else or to the universe. That's going to mean that you have a lot more space to slowly but surely work on the things that are within your control. The other stuff, you just let the universe take care of it, and it will be taken care of. You don't have to be in control of every single detail and every single activity for whatever you're working on to evolve in a positive and effective way. In fact, urgency is literally ineffective. So cultivate patience, delegate where you can, give what you can over to the universe, and then spend your energy on the things that are actually within your capacity to control or deal with and move forward. And then the second thing is to stop focusing on what is not happening. You might be looking around at other people and thinking they're further on than me, I should be where they are by this time, but we've already looked at why that's not true. Really honour the progress that you are making and don't get caught up in a lack mindset that is frustrated that things are not moving fast enough. This is actually going to hold you back. It is ineffective. Instead, focus on the things that are happening, the progress you are making. Celebrate yourself for that. Write down your daily wins and watch how your energy shifts into being more tolerant of the time frame that is actually right for you. The third gift is the gift of discernment. And this is about starting to step back from whatever is going on in your life. It's not about coldness or detachment, but it is cultivating a little bit of objectivity so that you don't get so caught up in the stories of what's happening. You observe what's happening and you're able to understand it from a different perspective. This is all about becoming the ever-present witness or the beholder, to start to separate the thinker from the thoughts. And this is actually what Eckhart Tolle describes as the beginning of the awakening process, when we are not so identified with our thoughts or our emotions that we cannot find any space between them. So discernment allows you to step back and look at what's going on with less judgment. It allows you to stop labeling things as good or bad, success or failure, and instead see that whatever's unfolding is part of the divine blueprint of your life. And even if it doesn't feel great at the time, it actually is still perfect. We can get caught up in believing that when things don't go well, that there's something wrong with us, there's something wrong with the universe, that we've been abandoned by spirit, that we are being punished for something. That is an error. In fact, all of the challenges that come in your path are opportunities to grow and evolve and learn. So when you start to have more discernment, you can reduce the friction between yourself and the things that you're seeing going on in your life. So let's say that you have a friendship that is dissolving, it's not aligned with you anymore, and it might be easy to be entangled in the story around the dissolution of this friendship so that you think it represents something about you. Maybe you aren't lovable, or you are not likable anymore, or some other story about why this thing is happening. With discernment, you get to stand back and understand that the comings and goings of friendships are perfect exactly as they are. You can thank that person for being in your life for the period of time that they were, bless them, allow them to move on. And so you don't get so caught up in what it means about you, what it means about the other person. You just let it flow through you in a much more graceful, easeful way, and it frees you up again to just move forward in life without being bogged down by stories and assumptions that aren't necessarily true. Discernment is also so much about being in the present moment, not being caught up in the memories of the past, not being worried about what's going to happen in the future, but recognizing yourself as part of the flow of creation, and that even when things don't feel great, everything is actually perfect. So how do you start harnessing discernment? Just try not to personalize things so much. Try to recognize that things are passing through you, and don't try to fix things from an emotionally triggered space. Try to allow things to unfold with a bit more spaciousness and from your witness presence without judging what's going on, and start to feel closer to your witness self than to the self that's entangled in emotions and judgments of good, bad, success, failure. So I hope that's helped you. I have found these 3 gifts amazing kind of flags in the sand to navigate by. So let me know if there are things that you think that you could integrate into your life. I'd love to hear your perspective about it. If you'd like to watch a video about another incredibly powerful trait that can not only make you memorable but also amplify your impact in the world, then check out this video here. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, comment. I will really appreciate that, and I'll see you in the next video. Much love.